Okay, it's that wonderful time of the month where we get our Open Gate box. All right, cut it open and open it some more. All right, let's see what they've sent us this month. Let's pull up some paper. I'm going to assume it's Christmas themed because it's the month before Christmas. But, you know, you never know. Well, it's got this, and that. We'll tell you what it all is in a second. Right off the top, poinsettias mixed with holly leaves and berries. It's going to make a round table topper. Oh, it's Christmas tree skirt or table topper. So there's that. Look at that. That's a lot of fabric there. Ooh, a fat quarter. I don't even need to open it up, but that's what it is. Some thread. We got, I think this is black, honestly. It looks black. It doesn't look anything but black. It's $26.92. Yeah, that's black. And then a red one that, well, it's more of like a burgundy red. 2230. That's what that one is. And then a mini tree scape. Oh, okay. Mini tree scape. That's what it will be. That doesn't look too hard. All right. Well, I'm going to, obviously, as always, I'm going to tackle both of them. Let's do this mini treescape one first. I'm going to move this box, but before I do, the fabric that are in these, before we get any further, is, let's see, Project 1. Pretty sure that's Christmas Tree Skirt 1. All right, it's Blooms of the Holiday by Art Loft from Studio E Fabrics. And then Project 2, which is this one, is fabric, doesn't say. I'm going to assume it's the same line, because sometimes it's the same line with both boxes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and just start with the mini tree thing. I'm going to press the fabric as always, and then get started. So, hold on, let's look at it first. Oh, there's fusible in here too, so I'm not sure, but we'll look at the pattern in a second. Okay, so yeah, it's got some fusible fleece in there. There's the one fabric. We got, looks like this will be the background and the binding. It looks like that. I don't know what that part is for. Maybe, I don't know. We got some white. This must be for the trees. There's 3 different colors. I've seen this before. I've had that before. We got some charm squares. They're going to get cut up for what goes around it, most likely. There's 3 of them. And then here's 3 more. I'm not holding things very well today. There we go, and that. So there's all the fabrics for that. Maybe that's the backing for it. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll just go ahead and press it all and get started. Everything's pressed. I didn't do anything with this yet, obviously, because we need to read the instructions. But I can tell already they're not that hard. So from this, we're going to cut first. So I'm going to set these aside, set this aside, and move those over there. And we're going to cut this first. There is a diagram to follow for it. I guess it goes in this direction. Yep, it goes in this direction. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut like the diagram says. Okay, now that everything is cut out, now what I need to do is, it says in the directions to measure and mark lines where we're going to be sewing these, I'm assuming. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Which way do they go? They go this way? Okay. Now I'm going to mark these like the picture says. It doesn't even have you squaring these up, so they must all be close to the size they need to be. I'm going to go ahead and mark. All right, so from here, honestly, I'm just going to go like this. This is my way. Mark it in the center. Mark it in the center. And mark it in the center. All right, and now I'm going to, that's my center mark. I'm going to just line these up. What is it doing? Right sides together. And I'm going to cross this over up here and do whatever it says down here beyond that. Yeah, that's not going to work. It goes on this first. That, yeah. Yep. Crossing it over right there and to about right here. So I'm going to sew on this line, which is just the fabric. Sorry, I'm lining this up with my fold line. This makes it easier because then I'll be a 1/4 inch away. And then I'm lining it up at the bottom. It says 1/2 inch in. So I'm going to scoot this over, and I'm 1/2 inch in right there. So now I'm just going to sew using this line as my guide. So you can see I sewed that on there, and then it's going to fold it back and trim it to size. So I'm going to go ahead now and press it like this. And I guess my trim to size is, am I leaving anything hanging over? I don't know. I'm just going to add the other side and call it a day. Because that's what I do. All right, I can still see my fold, which is right there. I'm just going to cross this one over and put it 1/2 inch in. Oops, no, it would go this way. Whew, brain fart. So it'd go here, and then 1/2 inch in is about right there. So now I'm going to just sew, same as I did before. So now I have a funky unit that looks like this. Funky enough? Sure, why not? Yep, that looks good. All right, so I'm going to repeat that step again. Let me just recreate my crease again. And then this one is going to be a 1/2 inch in also, and then this one will be 1 inch in. So I'm just going to take 2 of these, crossing it over right here at this spot, and then coming in about 1/2 inch. I'm just guessing on mine. I don't feel like marking all that because, you know, it just gets messed up anyway. All right, so now I'm going to sew this one. So you can see I literally just sewed using this as my guide. I'm going to go ahead and just finger press that out of the way momentarily. Grab this one, put it right here. There's my center line right there. So I'm going to go ahead and then 1/2 inch in at the bottom and crossing my center right there and sew it. And there that one is. That one looks like a lot taller than this previous one, but that's okay. We're going to leave it. I think I'll get it to the right size. All right, one more time, but this one goes in 1 inch. So I'm going to cross it over and then come to here. I'm literally going to put it like this. And then put this one on. There's my center, crossing it over, and then I'm going to come over 1 inch, which is right there. Now I'm going to sew that one. Now it shows pressing. Just going to press them and then trim stuff away, leaving everything still like this. Let's just hope I'm doing this right. All right, now it shows. If I just trim this off, I mean, what is it doing? Place. Where does it say? Okay, then I just square it to the size it says to do. So, there it is, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and square this now to the size that it says. All right, and then I can cut away the back. And cut away most of the back from this one. It's not going to be perfect because I never cut it away in the first place, but we'll cut it away right here. that, there's that, and there's that. Repeat. I'm just going to turn it upside down. There. Trim. Toss into that pile here, where it's supposed to be. Ta-da. Throw all that garbage over there. I'm going to trim away my excess. Obviously, one side trims way better than the other. Still has a 1/4 inch seam. All right, and last one. Let's see. I'm going to make sure that it's the right size because that didn't end on the bottom like it should have. There are my 3 pieces. All of my scrap garbage. Got my little, oops, not this part yet. Forgot to trim one of them. That's okay. 3 trees. Those 2 are whatever, that one's whatever. There we go. Now it says I need to sew this to these little guys right here. My 3 little pieces are going to get these on either side. Oh, I shouldn't have chose black, but I did. Ooh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh well, we're going to do it anyway. That probably should have thought about that. All right, so I'm going to chain piece these little guys on here and then move on. I'm going to press them towards the dark, which would be the black, although it really didn't matter on this one because the whole thing is black. I don't like that. I can't see the bottom of my tree. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this different because I screwed it up. And you know me, when I screw things up, I'm going to go ahead and... So remember that when you're making yours, you just want to use a contrasting color to the black. But what I'm going to do is going to be, we're just going to toss that away. I'm going to go ahead and grab, what's the other color in here? The red with snowflake. I already got that one, so it's the red with star. There's tons of red, so it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and trim this to the size right there, and then I'm going to sew this one on instead. And then I'll replace one of these with one of these little pieces that we were going to throw in the trash. Ooh, and I have just enough. Look at that. So there, I've replaced it with that. Smart, right? So just make sure the bottoms of your trees are contrasting to the black. I should have thought about that. You know what? It's all said and done. It's figured out. And it's going to be fine. So now I'm going to just take these over and press them towards the dark nicely instead of just a finger press. All right, so let me press these and then move on. Once they're pressed, I'm going to put a red on each end and my green in the middle, and it says to sew these on here. So I'm going to go ahead and chain piece the sewing of these on here. Once they're sewn on, it's telling me to press towards the tree trunk that we just added. Tree trunks are added to my trees. I'm just going to face them towards you. Now it has us laying our squares. Blah, 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 blah. Like how I do that. So we're going to sew, I think, 4 of them together for in-betweens. It really doesn't matter to me, honestly. So we're going to do 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whatever. I'm going to sew 4 together. 2, 3, 4 times. All right, it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to grab and sew. As you can see, let's just throw all that up there. Here's all my pieces. So now I'm going to sew this into a row. Just going to press one way, and then I'm going to put 4 like this. Same with these, same with these, and same with this. Here are these. I'm going to go ahead and just press them all in the same direction. So I'm just going to press the whole unit one way. Now that they're pressed, these are going to go like this. And so I'm going to sew these on. I'm going to go ahead and press towards the tree. I'm going to turn it towards me, just because. All right, so I'm going to add this one, press it towards the tree because that's the less bulk way. Add the next tree. All right, so now that this is done, I'm going to go ahead and press the whole thing. There's that. Now I'm just going to sew these all together. I'm going to make sure that the same one doesn't land at the end, obviously. So it needs to be 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, let's hope that, let's see, it's going to land here, 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 there, there, there. Okay, that's going to be that one, 3, 4. That one will be that one, 3, and that one will be that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to sew these up. Once they are sewn together, oops, so that one was going to be the top, that one was going to be the bottom. I'm going to go ahead now because they need to be pressed and just press all of it in one direction. So this time, yeah, I'm just going to go press it all in one direction. And if I have to flip the seams, oh well. That's just how it works for me in my world. But if you want to make sure that this one right here and this one right there are in opposite directions, oh, that's much better this way. So it's going to go that way. And this one will go this way. You can make sure that these ones are going the opposite direction, but I really don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and press them, and then we'll sew them on. So again, like I said, you can press this one opposite direction, and that one the opposite direction, however you want to do it. But I'm going to go ahead now and, oops, oh man, let's see, hold on, is that better? No, that's not better. How about this one? Right here, those are two different, and those are different. Okay, that's how I'm going to lay it out, just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this on here and that onto there. One is on, you can see I just flipped the seam, so when I go to iron, I'll just push those down. Now this one. So again, like I said, I'm just going to push that seam down with the iron and then press them in towards the tree, I think. Yeah. All right, here we go. Here that is, and now we just need to finish it with the accompanying fabric. So I'm going to go ahead now and get this prepared, and we'll quilt it on the regular machine. First thing I did was I fused this onto here. Now I'm just going to center this on here or right here. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to take it to the iron again so that's nice and flat on here. And then I'll cut off the excess because I really don't need it in the throat space. And we'll go over and quilt it. So I got rid of the excess. Don't need it. Now let's go to the sewing machine. All right, I'm not going to mark anything. I am just going to cross. I'm going to just stitch. I'm going to change my stitch length to a 3 millimeter. That way I'm stitching like about 10 stitches per inch. I'm going to aim from here down to this corner right here and cross over. Oh, and obviously needs is it threaded? Seems to be. Okay. Don't know why, but you know, didn't catch the stitch. Here we go. Let's try that again. And for some reason, my machine is not stitching today. Okay, we're gonna do some troubleshooting and be right back. Okay, my mistake. It was a threaded problem. So I'm aiming from here to here now. Okay, so I'm off, but whatever. I'm gonna go to there. Looks straight enough to me. Then I'm gonna just use this corner as my next gauge to this corner. Yeah, that's kind of sloppy, but we're just gonna call it and keep going. There it is. Not straight, whatever. You know, that's how it works. It's not perfect, but I'm going to square it up now. Let's just go off this way here. Square it up. There. That's straight. That's straight. That's straight. Right there. And one more side. I'm just using the lines on my ruler. Okay, this is all garbage. We're going to go ahead and make our binding by attaching these strips together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and attach this one to this one and this one to the end of it. Go ahead and cut off my excess and then press my binding as I normally would. And I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of the selvage. So I'm going to go ahead and press it in half just like I do with any other binding. Here's my binding. Since this is a small project, I'm going to go ahead and clip the binding in place. So I'm going to put my starting point. Let's do this right here. I'm going to leave a little tail. I'm going to start about right this one. And then we're going to fold it up over. I have lots of videos on binding on my channel if you're curious the rest of the way. Okay, so here's my finished little project. It's funky. Oops. Oh no, that's on the fabric. It looks like a thread right there, but that's the fabric. Okay, so it's funky, and if you notice, there are 2 stitches around the binding. That is intentional, not for decorative purpose, because when I joined that section in such a tiny little spot right here, it caught one edge of the binding, but not the other. So I had to fold it under and glue it. So it's folded under and glued, and then decided to just go ahead and stitch it instead of by, hand. I went ahead and stitched it in this all the way around. So it gives a double stitch all the way around. But guess what? I really don't care because it's like an elongated mug rug. So this is not my finest work, but you know what? It's funky. It is super on the funky side. I like it. But from far away, guess what? You can't even tell anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Let's move on to this Christmas tree skirt or table topper. Now I don't do a Christmas tree, so I don't need a skirt. So I'm gonna just do the table topper. I'm not sure how it's gonna come out, but let's go ahead and stitch this up. Project number 2. So here's one of the fabrics. Here's my lovely directions. And wow, this might be easier than I thought. It is a panel. Okay, there's just a quarter of it. I'm going to tell you what it is again, just because it is Christmas tree skirt table topper. It features Blooms of the Holiday by Art Loft from Studio E Fabrics. So that's what that is. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Oh yeah, it's the whole shebang. Well, so this I can just literally take it to the long arm and just long arm quilt it, honestly. I could shrink it down a little bit. I'm just going to make it as a table topper. Well, oh, it even says right here, blooms of the holiday tree skirt. All right, so I guess what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find some backing fabric. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to load this on the long arm, quilt it up, and then bind it with the binding. Since I'm doing a table topper, I don't need a tree skirt because I don't ever put up a tree. All right, so I'm just going to cut it a little bit shorter because it doesn't need to be this big. I'll just cut this off of here. And I don't even need to iron. Well, yeah, I need to iron it first, but I'm just going to fold this in half real quick. And we'll just go over to the long arm. Why? Because I can. I'm literally just going to cut off right here at the top. I don't need this. That's garbage. And we'll cut off some of the bottom. That way it's not so big and I don't need such a big piece of backing fabric. All right. Well, let me go find something Christmassy for the back. This will be easy. All right. So I just took it into the other room. Oh my goodness, come on. To choose a backing fabric. And I had this. That's what's going to go on the back. The rest of my Christmas prints were directional and they would look kind of dumb. So here's what I need. I needed 1 yard and 1/4. 1 yard, 1 1/4 yard. And now I'm going to go ahead and I got to press this and cut it to the size I need because it's more than I need. And then find some backing fabric or bind backing fabric. There's the backing fabric in my hand. I need batting. I'm going to find some batting and we'll go load it. So it's loaded on the long arm. I basted the top just to have a, so that I can flatten it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do a basting stitch around this outer perimeter. I know the camera is going to be blocked momentarily, but I'm literally going to do my best to try to just keep this basting stitch around this curve. All right, so I'm going to advance it just a little bit. That way this is on the other side of the bar, and that way I could get a little bit more space in the quilting. So I'm just going to quilt holly leaves and berries on here and loop-to-loop. Now we'll do swirls, swirlies, holly leaves, and berries. So let me put you on the mount while we do that. So I just realized I quilted all this on pause. Now, even though I said right here I was going to put you in fast forward, I'm going to advance this now and then quilt the next section so that you can see what I'm doing. It's so funny because I literally talked you through everything and sometimes I forget to turn the camera on. All right, so I'm going to do swirls. And every time I do a swirl, I go right with the curl, and then when I come out of that one, I'll do left, right, left. Except right now, because I was talking about it. Then for my holly leaves and berries, I'm doing a curved line. Sometimes I do straight, sometimes I do curved, but this one's decorative, so I'm doing a curved line. Most of my holly leaves will have 2, but sometimes 3. So like here's the bumps. So 1, 2, 3, bump back into the spine. Then I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, bump back into the spine. Some of them have 2, some of them have 3. It kind of gives it a, a good fun look of difference throughout the whole thing. Now my holly berries are going to come out right here, and they're just me doing pebbles. And I always do 3 berries because 90% of all the fabrics that you buy that have holly leaves and berries in them have 3. It's kind of funny. All right, so I'm just going to bump, bump, bump. So there's only 2 bumps on the underside because it was at the curve. So now I'm just going to continue on with swirls. I'm kind of doing a slightly dense design, for at least for the size of this little quilt. And now from right here, another opportunity to do holly leaves. 1, 2, 3, or back 2. So I did 2 bumps and then back 2. 1, 2, back 2. 1, 2, back up. Do some berries. Backtrack on them. And then 1, 2, back to the center. I'm going to come out right here to the edge and put a swirly right there because it's, like I said, kind of a dense design. Swirl. And see, on right here, I could actually put another one, so watch. Down, bump, bump, into the center, bump, bump, into the center, bump, bump, back to the center, add some berries. And they're not perfect, they never are. And there's my holly leaf with berries. So I could fill in right here with my swirl. And then I can backtrack on the whole entire thing and come back the other way because I was at the edge and I was just filling in a gap. Some of my swirls are big, some are dinky, some curl around more, some just once. Alright, and from here I'm going to do some more holly leaves. Curve. We'll have this one come down to here, into the center. Do some berries. And from here, I'm going to do a little swirl right in here real quick. Fill that section. Backtrack. And go on. Now I'm going to do a holly leaf that kind of comes up like this. Okay, bump, 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 in, bump, bump, in. Do some berries. And see, the inside of this one had 2 bumps, but the outside has 3, which is fine because it's at a curve. So now I'm going to fill in right here real quick. I'm going to get one right there, and one right there. I'm going to do holly leaf again. 1, 2 together. So this one's a smaller one. That one had 3 bumps on the outside. We'll do some berries. Okay, those berries came out funny, but whatever. And this one had the 3 bumps on the outside, 2 on the inside because of the curve. So what about a arched one? Well, that's possible. Like that. Bump, bump, bump. So that has 3 on the outside, but just 2 on this one. We're going to put the berries on this side. 1, 2, 3, right there. So now I have a super curved one on the outside of the center. Oops, whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. And I could have separated the center right here and went around the poinsettia, but you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just doing it all over. And this is free motion. This is not a computer. This is all me. With the sloppiness to prove it. Because I don't do it perfect. Once you get used to doing holly leaves, they go pretty quick. I'm going to put my 3 berries on this side. And then continue on. Alright, so I'm going to come up. Now, along this edge, I'll fill that in after I fill in this little area. And all this can be done on a domestic machine. You're just moving your fabric instead of your machine. So I'm just, you can sit down and do the bump, bump, bump. You can do the same thing. about right here so that I can baste it, and then from here on out I will fast forward the rest. All right, here it is. The first thing I need to do is pull off the leaders that I sewed on to make sure I had enough space for my red snappers at the long arm. So I'm just going to yank these off real quick. Now I'm going to go ahead and take scissors and I'm going to cut around this edge using scissors. If you're going to make yours into a tree skirt, you need to cut along here, around this circle, and then about a ½ inch over back down to that way when your binding is on there, they butt up next to each other. So if you were going to make the tree skirt, cut that up, around, and back down again for your tree skirt, and then we'll match back up when you are, binding it. Now for the binding on this lovely round project here. So I'm going to open it up, I'm going to press it, and then we're going to get started on cutting out the binding. All right, let's lay this out, and what we're going to do is we're going to be cutting it on the 45. So you need a ruler that has a 45 marking. first thing I'm going to do is cut the selvage off so I have a straight line to work with. So I'm going to just cut the selvage off. It makes it easier because that's the straightest part of the whole entire piece of fabric. Once that is cut, we're going to go ahead and open it up. And I'm going to keep that straight edge next to me, closest to my body. And we're going to take the ruler, find the 45 on it, and we're going to use that to line it up. My ruler isn't long enough to go from a certain side to a certain side, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's lined up to start on a side that I can at least reach my ruler on with my rotary cutter. The 45 is lined up along the bottom straight edge that I just cut, and I'm going to be able to reach from one side to the other. And then I will cut the strips off after that with a different ruler. So now I'm just going to switch to another ruler and start cutting the binding pieces at 2 1/4 inches, sliding the ruler and making the cut since it wasn't long enough to, I don't have a ruler long enough to go all the way across that. There are other ways that you can do binding and other videos on that where you like cut it and then sew this straight edge on the bottom section and then draw a line on the back side and cut all the way around at 2 1/4. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just doing what I'm doing here, and then I will join them end to end, which is pretty easy to do. Now I'm just going to take these pieces and they are going to butt end to end to end. You just have to turn them and look, same direction. So I'm going to sew those two together. We're going to make sure that a little tiny 1/4 inch triangle sticks out on both ends. That's how you do the binding like this. I'm going to sew that. And now you can see where the little triangle pieces hang over on the ends about a 1/4 inch, and you sew from corner into corner. Then you open it up and it should be one straight line. Add the next piece. Again, laying it over where you have that little 1/4 inch area sticking out on both ends. If you were to do diamonds, you're going to do them the same exact way, just like this. Now you can see again, I'm literally sewing in the valleys from valley to valley. That is where I'm putting my stitch. The needle literally lands in that section if you got a perfect 1/4 inch seam. Once finished, it should look like this. Now I'm just going to press these seams open, and just like any other binding, I'm going to press it in half, lining it up all the way down. All right, there it is. Now remember, just like any bias binding, it is stretchy, like those pants you need to wear after a Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. That's how stretchy these are. So be very aware when you are
making your bias binding that you're not going to stretch it completely out of place because it is very stretchy now, so that it can go around the circle. All right, so I'm going to attach this to the back side first and wrap it to the front, same as any other binding. I'm also going to leave a nice long tail, but first I got to cut away my dog ears because I totally forgot to do that step. I'll just cut them away as I go. So I'm going to go ahead now and grab some clips, and we are going to clip this on here. Again, leaving the long tail. I'm going to go ahead and put my clips on here. I want the flat side of my clip on this side, which I'm going to do when I do both ways, clipping it. So I'm going to go ahead and just clip it all the way around. I am giving it the slightest tug because it's going to buckle underneath my sewing machine foot because I don't use a walking foot. So I'm going to make sure I avoid that right now by just a slight tug all the way around. So let me attach this all to the back side. If you plan to do yours as a tree skirt, you would just take the bind on your cut, and you're cutting your circle around there. You're going to take that binding, miter the corner right here, just like any, go up around the circle, just like this, and then all the way back down with a mitered corner back the opposite way and continue on. Yeah, I would have started my start just a little bit back more though on the way around, but either way, that's how you would do that. And then meet up the two ends just the same, and that's how you would do your tree skirt. I'm not doing that, but this is how it's done. So it'd be pretty simple to do. Just up, around, back down, clip it in place, and that's how you would do it. So let's go ahead now and take this to the sewing machine and get started attaching along the edge at a 1/4 inch seam for the rest of this. And yes, I'm showing you how to do it again because I'm voiceovering this because I lost my sound. Go figure, that's how this works. Here we are at the machine. Just like any binding, this is going to go on the same. I do highly recommend a metal, look at me, magnetic seam guide. That helps you keep straight all the way around. I'm going to go ahead now though and just sew all the way around with my 1/4 inch seam, or maybe slightly less, but either way, I'm going to start and just sew this all the way around with a 2.5 stitch length. Once it is stitched on, I'm going to go ahead and cut the binding, flatten one side out around the curve. Just like any other, you're just going around a slight curve because it's a bigger circle. Open one piece up, line it up on that edge. You can see I'm kind of doing it with the curve of the quilt. I'm going to smooth out the other side over it, fold it over along the edge of the piece that I'm, gauging my measurement, and then I'm just going to make a cut. So I'm going to go ahead now and pinch this out of the way so that I can join my two ends. So I'm just going to open it up where the mountain faces up. And then this one, I'm going to turn it where the mountain or valley faces up. The mountain is facing the mountain. Right sides together. I didn't twist or turn anything. And I got to pin it some more. All right, so opening it up, laying it on there, and I'm just going to sew corner to corner as if I was doing binding on anything else. Then I'm going to go ahead, disconnect it, and straighten it just to make sure that I didn't twist it, which I didn't. And then I'll cut away the excess fabric. It looks like I was a little stretched right there, but that's okay. You know what? It's going to be fine in the end. Nobody will ever know. I'm going to finger press it open like I've done with all the seams on the binding. I finger press them open because I'm on a curve, so I want it to be a little bit flatter than just pressing to one side. Then I'm going to continue on with my stitch when I can find my magnetic seam guide and put it back into place. Just going to flip it over and stitch it to the front like always, except I'm going to pin all the way around. So I'm going to clip this all the way around. I'm just going to pull it over, smooth it out. And I'm going to make sure my clips, again, the flat side is on the top side that I can see, and the curved side of the clip is on the bottom side. That way, when I pull them off, I am not having that curved side yank that flat side because one side is curved, one side is flat. That way, when I pull them off as I'm sewing, I'm not yanking it out of place and I don't mess anything up. All right, once all my clips are on here, I am going to be cautious around my tag that's on the back side, but I'm going to be stitching in the ditch all the way around from the back side. And hopefully I will catch the lip on the front side. That way it lays nice. So I'm going to stitch in the ditch from the back side with black thread. So I'm just going to stitch in the ditch all the way around, and when I pull the pins off, the round side is on the top now, the flat side is on the bottom. So when I pull, I don't keep, why I just keep saying pins, they're clips. When I pull my clip away, it won't have that round side catch the flat side, if that makes any sense. That way they just pull away nicely. Finishing up, pull the thread away, snip it on the front and on the back, which is at the front actually. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to make sure that I cut the front side all the way around while I'm here at the machine. You will fill a lip all the way around. I just use my fingers to catch that lip all the way around the whole thing to make sure that I caught the whole thing. Anywhere that it doesn't seem like it caught, I'm going to top stitch real quick in the ditch and make sure that I grab that area a little bit better. So I just check with my fingers all the way around the whole thing. Looking good so far. I cut the whole thing except for one little questionable area, which again I'm using black thread, so all I have to do is stitch it to make sure that it caught the binding the whole time. So, but so far so good, looking good. So here is my little iffy area. I'm going to just top stitch it real quick and make sure that it caught that binding all the way. It did, but it was really on the edge. So to make sure there's no doubt once it goes through the wash, it'll be better if I just give it a quick stitch on that side again. Again, my thread is black and the back part is black, so you're never even going to know that stitch is even there. And it lined up perfectly. So that's about it. Let's move on and see what everything looks like. I think my microphone broke because this whole section as well had no sound. Anyways, this is what it looks like. I don't have a round table to put it on. Technically, I do. My kitchen table is round if I take the leaves out, but I'm not going to do that. So here is the finished quilt. Binding looks great. Everything looks great. It's wonderful. There's my other project. Look at how cute that is. It's sloppy, and I actually like it sloppy. Looks really cool. But it's definitely just the size of an extra long mug rug. All right, so let's just take a closer look at this with the stitching and blah, 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 all that stuff. And I'll insert some pictures at the end. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.